What is happening, you silly freaking chickens, guys? Today we have an update on stock ticker AMC, going over the weekly close as well as why many people are bearish, but I am absolutely jacked, right? Going into Monday, you have a lot of good signs on AMC technically of why this thing may rally. But before we jump into that, guys, take a moment, take some time to freaking slap the subscribe button, hit the like button to help Amy go up, and not financial advice. All right, let's jump into the technical analysis. Looking at Robinhood, I wanted to start with that because there is something that has been brewing on AMC, and I mentioned it in my last video, but you have seen quarter over quarter over quarter, right? Just overall flat buying and selling between hedge funds. But look at this most recent Q2 2026, 51.8 million shares bought, guys. Absolutely insane. If you scroll down here, you can see who it was, right? Discovery Capital Management opened a 51.79 million share open, almost $100 million, guys, 100 million schmeckles of market value added on AMC. So AMC had a pretty tremendous day, right? 3%, but it was more of where you close. That was the overall bullish thing. And going back to our last video, right? If you guys were locked in, right, paying attention, you remember that we mentioned finding a bounce off of this midline on the 4-hour chart and the RSI band. What did you do, baby? You did that exact same thing, right? You popped out of this falling wedge, and then you had this kind of flag-like formation. You're kind of cruising out of it, and you retest, and you bounce off the 50 line. That's overall bullish, right? This big fat George W to potentially take you back to this neckline that currently sits right around 291, right? So if you can clear 260 next week, guys, I think it's likely that you go back to retest that neckline. So that is first step first, right? Bullish. You can see on the 4-hour chart on Webull kind of outlines a little bit better the breakout of this falling wedge and where we're going to find resistance. 260, 274, right? All important areas of resistance because you have a potential head and shoulder here. Now, of course, we could invalidate that next week, but we're going to have to wait and see whether or not you can see a pop in volume and a pop in the overall share price, right? Looking at the daily time frame, you saw a freaking beautiful freaking day, guys. A close above 250, invalidating this shooting star candle, which AMC always does. It's kind of funny. And then an increase on volume and a close above the 9-day EMA, guys. So this is an overall bullish kind of outlook for AMC going into Monday morning. If that was not enough, guys, you have a little bit of divergence here on the MACD, showing that the bearish momentum is slowing down, that you may see a daily MACD cross for the first time since earnings, guys, when you saw a 26.8% day. So if this breakout, right, sees the follow through and the continuation we need, there is the opportunity that next week is shaping up on AMC to be very, very green, right? So that's what we like. That's what we freaking love on our girl Amy. And it doesn't stop there, right? Going to the daily time frame, licking my chops, licking my freaking chops on this daily time frame because you are a hair, guys, a freaking schmeckle away on this daily time frame from getting a cross above the RSI band. Now, what I have always mentioned on the RSI is typically when you cross above this band, right, in the bottom part of your screen right here, you're about to kiss, right? You came down to retest the 50 line on the daily, came back up, and look at how close you are, traders. Look at that. Look at it. Look at it, right? If you see that cross and if you see that overall expansion in volume, oftentimes this marks our bottom, right? And so that's what we're watching for in today's video and Monday's open, right? Because there's a lot that can happen between those two things. This is the last time you crossed on the daily time frame, this RSI band. So we'll mark them. We'll mark them for you guys because we're feeling generous today. This is the second time. This is the third. Right? Moral of the story, up, right? That is the general moral of the story. And if you want more, one more example. One more. Let's do it. Just for you guys. For my boy Kyle Jones and all the members. Look at every single cross of the RSI band. You see an expansion on AMC's price that you usually do not see, right? And it typically marks your bottom before ripping, right? This is a 65% move. This one is a 66% move. This one is a 62% move, right? This one is a 102% move, right? So you're seeing an overall trend here that is interesting because 62 to 66% from here is clearing your freaking piece de resistance, right? Clearing your horizontal resistance and officially getting you back above 318, which in my opinion is going to come with volume. It's going to come with explosive price and you're going to see it happen. In my opinion, right? Not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. If you cross this RSI band, which you are so close to doing. Now, of course, this would not be my video without me giving you the full rundown. I want to give you the bullish and the bearish scenario. So make sure to stay, right? The bearish scenario is you reject here and you come back down to your previous all-time resistance line, which would be right around 230, or potentially your golden cross retest, right? We've been talking pretty religiously about this, and that is AMC has seen its first golden cross back in, I think it was before that because we're using EMAs right now, but I freaking love exponential moving averages. And I think if you come down here to 229, guys, which is exactly where that 230 mark is on the bottom of this falling wedge, retesting that is going to be significantly bullish and can do the exact same thing that we just talked about, right? Let's say we see the broader market pull back, retest your golden cross, and then you go. Very, very possible. Of course, I think it's more likely you just kind of go right outside of this falling wedge, but that's another possibility, right? So we should be optimistic and we should be careful for that to occur because on our IWM chart, right? IWM is looking schnasty as always, but you did see a pullback in the broader market that could lead you to go and fill the gap that currently sits at 296.66, and you have your 50-day EMA at 294. This has been the stair-stepping of the price action every step of the way for the broader market, right? Stair step here, 50 day EMA, tested. If you go back and test it again, it's my opinion, right? Then I think we're going to make another all-time high because that's what's happened the last freaking 4 times. So to cover the AMC weekly candle, guys, we got Bitcoin booming, we got crypto booming, and this is often a good sign for risk on assets, right? You're seeing a lot of smart money rotate into small cap assets and cryptocurrency. And what you're seeing right now, Bitcoin, look at that weekly candle, right? 22%. I would hard press you to find another candle like that. Looking at AMC now, right? AMC's weekly candle, although they aren't directly correlated, right? But they can be indirectly correlated. You're looking at this weekly time frame, 2% on AMC. You found a bounce off of your 9 weekly EMA, which is the first freaking time, traders, that's happened since 2021. And we like to talk about the historical relevance of these retests on AMC. This is the only time previous, right, that you've done that after the cross of the 50-day EMA, right? So we saw a big squeeze in 2021. You saw the 9 weekly catch up, and then price retraced into the 50. Once that happened, price never dropped below the 50, but rode it higher and closed above it every single close on the weekly. What you have here is a very unique experience, right? You've seen that squeeze-like formation up 200%. Whether or not it was a squeeze, you guys can kind of debate in the comment sections, but you're up currently from the low. Come on. You're up 174%. We'll call it 200 from the low. You've come back from this horizontal retest to test this band, guys. The hammer candle on the weekly looks absolutely amazing. And I know I keep saying that, but genuinely, I do believe if you could see volume and follow through on this break, AMC could be trading up here in the 3s, potentially the 4s within, it sounds crazy, but a week or two, right? Because AMC does not hesitate, right? When you run, you freaking run. This is 28 days, 89%, right? If you're just going off of the last stretch in price, well, you've now broken your handle, right? And so within the same 28 days, you should see another 89%, right? If this thing is going to be anything in terms of symmetrical. So that's what we're watching for AMC is this longer scale potential cup and handy that is still yet to see the upside breakout. So I think that's what we got today on AMC, guys. It looks freaking phenomenal. Make sure to slap the subscribe button, hit the like button, because nobody's doing it like we're doing it on AMC. All right, look at a GameStop. GameStop seeing a little bit of rally, right? Up from the 1779 low and putting in back-to-back hammer candles here. I like this a lot, right? You've had the divergence on the MACD for quite some time on the daily time frame. The lessening of bearish volume and liquidity, right? And you're seeing this thing begin to rally into the 9, which is currently sitting at 1844, guys. Getting above this, more importantly, testing it is going to be really important. I think you're going to do it next week, and I think you're going to get a green MACD cross, right? So if you see that, you could totally see something like this, right? Maybe we test it on Monday, reject, chop, come back, retest, and then you fly into your freaking gap fill. It's very possible. And the reason I think that something like this is possible, right? This U-shape formation, or maybe more of a inverted head and shoulders, right? You come up to 1962, retest the lows of the right shoulder, and then go. Potential, right? Very, very possible. The reason I think that's possible is looking at GameStop's chart, right? You have two things that I'm watching. The first thing is you're actually ahead of AMC on this. You've had back-to-back green days, bullish candlestick formations, and you are officially crossing the RSI band on the daily. Typically that marks your freaking low, guys. So you may see GameStop snap the freaking down streak and snap this resistance, which, right, on the 4-hour chart, you're already doing. So you're snapping this downtrend in resistance. You've broken it officially. You've seen that touch of bullish divergence, right? You saw a breakdown from this falling wedge. You've reclaimed it and broken out. These kinds of moves are oftentimes very explosive, especially when you're oversold, especially when you're bullishly divergent, and especially, guys, especially when you have this gap fill, right? Very, very possible that GME sees no hesitation and just goes. I'm not betting on it. It's possible. But from our last couple videos, we did a little technical analysis, seeing that every single time you are oversold on the daily time frame, right? Oversold on the daily, and you come back from oversold crossing the RSI band. So like this, right? You on average see about a 20% move. This is a 20% move. What's another one? Come on, Jimmy boy, load. I'm actually really excited for the markets next week, guys. Genuinely, I think you could see some pretty nasty price action to the upside and the downside. I think volatility is going to be ripe in not just GME, but AMC as well. This is another example on the daily, right? This one right up here. This formation. And although it wasn't your low, right, you saw some kind of rally. You saw a 20% rally when the RSI was oversold. The RSI band dipped into oversold, and then you cross both. You see an explosive rally, right? This is very short-lived, short-term, but short-lived. 12 days, 20%, right? That's the kind of week that I think you could see from GME here. And what we did was we kind of just took 20% Let's give it 14 days. That gives you September 8th. So that's a Tuesday right after Labor Day. And you're directly filling your gap fill. 20% takes you directly in to your gap fill traders. I repeat, directly in to your gap fill. So it's a good look on GME. I don't think it will happen that radically unless you see some kind of fundamental news. But over time, I think you will see that fill before you see further price action down or up. So that's kind of a bet on GME. I like the stock. I freaking think it looks amazing here to open up Monday. And then let's just kind of take a little peeky weeky at the GME warrants, right? Because the GME warrants from my man Only in Paradise, in case you guys don't know him, he's our local bear, had a beautiful 13.47% day. And I think what's happening here is you're kind of pricing that in, right? You're pricing in the overall GME breakout and a potential daily MACD cross. That is bullish momentum to the upside. And in my opinion, right, you also broke your kind of wedge-like formation here on the warrants. So this is kind of what I expect from GME on Monday, but inevitably what that takes you to is your previous support, right? This thing was in a falling, broadening wedge, failed to hold, and then you freaking fell all the way to 146. It, in my eyes, makes the most sense to retest the 50 EMA, currently trading at 212, as well as this previous support and now resistance. So rejecting here is one of the most bearish things you can do, right? You do not want to see the GME warrants reject here, but if you power through, guys, there's a good opportunity that something fundamentally in terms of news occurs, right? Or GME is trading higher. So that is kind of our technical analysis here. Maybe you see one of these kinds of moves on the warrants. Totally not guaranteed, as many things in life are not. Do have a potential inverted head and shoulder set up there, though. If you see some kind of news come out, right shoulder, head, right shoulder, that would be kind of nasty. But we'll have to wait and see on the warrants. Not in any way betting on them because they have a timestamp of October. So until something comes out, we're kind of just pissing in the wind. But until next time, guys, God bless each and every single one of you guys. Thank you to everyone who stayed the full length of the video. Just make sure you do me a favor, slap the freaking subscribe button, hit the like button, and on the way out, remember, the best is yet to come. Let's go. Let's get it. Woo!